Owning some land in the metaverse, yeah, that's pretty cool. Owning a block of land using an NFT on a private island that's your own, that's really, really cool. What I want to do is I want to break down Satoshi Island. It's going to be a crypto private island haven, and the thing is, they're selling land as NFTs. So let me break it down. I've spoken to the team. I want to give you a bunch of info about it just so you can kind of get an idea of what this project is and see if it kind of fits in with you. Now, full disclosure, the reason that this kind of caught my attention is the fact that it's actually located in Vanuatu. Now, Vanuatu is very close to Australia, where I am right now. So this kind of caught my attention because if this was in the Bahamas, if this was somewhere in Europe, it might be a little bit harder and less attainable for me. But the fact that it is almost just sort of like a 5 or 6 hour flight in Vanuatu, that kind of makes it more attainable for me. So that's why I'm kind of excited on this project. Now, what I want to do is I kind of want to go over the website, break down a few things just to give you an idea, and then fill in the gaps where I kind of have more information and I can share it with you. So as you can see, they've got a private island. Now, it's based in Vanuatu, but they've got permission from the government to kind of turn this into a private crypto island. They've got very high quality info, so you can watch a video here and it actually breaks down what they're actually doing, and I suggest heading over onto the website and check this out. Also, as a side note, if you actually head over and check them out on Twitter, they've got 83,000 followers on Twitter, so it's not just some random thing and a whole bunch of sort of common followers for me, so it's actually kind of stacking up and it's quite good. Now, when you actually kind of get on the website, it's done really well. It kind of shows you where it's going to be. You can fly direct from sort of the States, and then you can also fly from Australia. And the idea here is it's going to be a dedicated crypto island. So not just for NFTs. The idea is like, look, I'm a big NFT dude, but the idea is it's going to be a crypto hub. That's what they're planning for it. And all the blocks of land are going to be sold in NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain, which kind of just adds in that fun and that excitement. So you can see here, the way that it's going to work is that they're going to be selling out some blocks in different plots of land over time. Now, look, the first thing that you kind of think of when you go private island, you kind of think about what they're actually going to do. How is the things going to be constructed? The idea is that they're getting these pods designed for the island, and the idea is they can then essentially mass produce these, but they can actually be placed in different sort of combinations and different ways to actually kind of build out different homes. So the idea that these can be made like offshore somewhere, then be shipped over to then easily build, so you don't have to get a whole bunch of construction workers, which is very smart. And the idea is you can just like crane them into the right spot, and they're going to look good. And these aren't just sort of some random concept. They've actually been building these over in Hong Kong and things like that for governments and installations, things like that. And you can kind of see an idea of what they would look like here. So I think it's very cool. And the fact is they've actually thought about this process, because trying to get all these workers over to a private island is very, very hard. It's a jurisdiction of Vanuatu, which is in the South Pacific near Australia. And the idea is they've got all the details about this. And the idea is you are going to get a citizenship to the island, but this is not for Vanuatu. So it's done in a very, like, they've thought about it in the way that it makes sense to ensure that it's a private island, but it's underneath the Vanuatu kind of government. So it's not its own private island that has its own crypto rules. It's just like subsidiary would be a bad word to use, but that's how it kind of works. So it's not like a lawless kind of Mad Max type crazy arena where we can do whatever we want. There are laws that are governed by a parent government, and you don't just have to take my word from it. You can actually jump over into their Discord and have a look. They've got all of their documentation breaking this down, so you can actually jump in and have a read of that yourself. That's under the official support tab, so you can actually jump in, do your due diligence, and have a bit of a dig, so you don't need to just rely on my word. Sustainable sort of energy, things like that, which is good. That's kind of what you want to see. And then the idea with the NFT is that you're able to then sort of buy, sell, trade kind of that way. So yeah, right now I want to kind of break down their two kind of offerings currently. So you've currently got the citizenship NFT, which is the idea that you can kind of go to the island, that kind of thing. But then you've also got the property NFT, which is going to be where you can actually kind of build the land out. Now, they're also going to be having a metaverse version version. And you can check out the videos here, very in-depth, very detailed as well. So it's nice. And the idea is that you can actually kind of build in the metaverse island, but then also on the real island itself. When it comes down to the team actually are stacked. They've got their stuff together, and they were able to answer some hard questions, which we're going to get into shortly. And what's crazy is that you've got Dennis here. When you actually kind of head over onto sort of Twitter, he's actually on the island. You can see him here. He's talking. It's not like these guys sort of sitting in a boardroom somewhere. And the idea, like, he's actually on the beach. He's actually talking. It's these kinds of things that just add into the weight and go, hey, cool. They're actually doing this properly, and they're actually getting it done. And to kind of run over the rest of the team are kind of stacked. They know what they're doing. They're set up in a way with some good advisors, things like that, which is great. Now, when it comes down to the roadmap, they're doing the citizen sort of NFT. Then they're going to be doing the land. Now, the idea is they're just doing a plot of land to begin with on the sort of south side. Now, what they're doing is each of these blocks is broken up into 10 sets. So the idea is that one block, if you own 10 NFTs, you can then get one block. And the idea, it's not like you're going to mint these blocks and then you're going to be randomly given a block or an allocation and then kind of fight it out. The idea with this is they're going to be having these lots. So they're going to be having sort of 526 blocks, which is sort of essentially 5,620 land NFTs. And the idea is if you then buy 10, you can then get a block. It also means that if you buy sort of 2 and you've got 5 other friends or 4 other friends that have got some 2, so you get together, you go, hey, we're a 10, we would like a block, and then you can get a block. So it's not like you're given a block and then you can be squeezed out somewhere else. The idea is you can buy the land NFTs, then essentially redeem 10 for a block, which I think is very smart and very cool, because that's a question that I had, like, hey, how does it work? And the idea is that if you come together that way, you're going to find people that are like-minded that may want to build not necessarily a private residence, but then have like a nightclub or a function hall or something like that. And the idea is that they then build, sort of buy some land and then build in that sense, which is very smart. They're also going to be doing the NFT marketplace. And the idea with this is so you don't have to kind of go on OpenSea, you can kind of go through listings, things like that, which does make sense, because if you buy a block of land, you can then buy the block of land either side, and then you've got a double or triple block. So they do have that ability. You're not just like sort of sectioned off to one thing. So this makes sense when it comes down to the marketplace and how they're actually operating. And then they're going to be doing the manufacturing and then the physical development. So they're actually kind of developing the island right now, which is cool, and then kind of building this out. Now, what you can actually kind of see is these are real live pictures of them actually building blocks and building these sort of pods. So they have done it before and they're going to continue to do it. Now, as you can see, there's so much to go on about this project, and because it's opening sort of the end of 2022, that's what they're kind of looking at. So it's absolutely crazy and insane. And then they've got the public opening 2023. The idea that these guys are moving full steam ahead, going crazy fast and forward. And I can see this as a super, super ambitious project, and it blew my mind and it got me really excited because it's very close for me, but it starts to then bring everyone together in a tangible sense in a location that can work, because by the time we get to the end of 2023, 2024, and people have built and developed out, you're going to have a little city that's kind of buzzing and humming. That's going to be crazy. Now, there are some things that I wanted to ask them that I wanted to get context on, because there are little things like, it sounds good to have an island, but there's certain things like sort of power, electricity, governance, all of these types of things that you need to kind of take care of when it comes down to the project overall. Now, what I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about the electricity. Hey, how does the electricity work? How does the grid work? All of that kind of stuff. And what they're saying is that in terms of electricity, all of the modules are going to have their own solar power, so they're going to be self-sustainable in some sense. And then there'll be power from the sort of blocks and the modules that aren't being used to then go back into a central system, which can then sort of help charge up those other ones. Now, look, they've also put in their bylaws that you can't run any mining rigs. So I'm guessing they're going to have sort of limiters and things like that to ensure that people aren't just going absolutely crazy, but they have kind of thought of that so people can't necessarily game the system. Now, look, with any major kind of sort of infrastructure, I want to know about the connection fees, things like that, because in most people's homes, they pay a connection fee for electricity, irrespective of how much electricity they use. And the idea is that the cost of the modules themselves will be integrated into the system that they've put in place, and then any repairs after that will come out of a DAO. Now, it can either, if it's your issue, it's going to be sort of your block's sort of responsibility to fix it, but if it's on the grid's issue, it's then going to be the entire sort of DAO. And this is a perfect thing to kind of touch on right now. Is the idea is that the company will be in these beginning stages kind of managing and overseeing, kind of doing that, but then once everything is up and running, it's then going to go into a DAO. And the idea is that everyone is going to essentially have a share. You will then have some sort of oversight from the company as well to ensure that things are getting done and maintenance is kind of performed. But the idea is you're going to have everyone together. You're then going to essentially have the DAO, but I'm sure that there will be some kind of like board to ensure that things are kind of moving forward. People will then pay into the or the DAO will kind of like raise some funds to then execute on these things as you would with a strata title or those types of things. I think it's a homeowners association as you would kind of get in the States. So they have thought about this, and that's another kind of segue when it comes down to the individual blocks. The idea is that each individual block will have its own DAO, and then you will have the main DAO that runs the entire island as well. And I think this is smart. It does get me a little bit nervous when it comes down to the actual execution, because people can be quite selfish, and if the west side of the island has an issue with something, the east side may not want to kind of fork up the cash. So there are going to be some rigid sort of things in place for that to kind of ensure it goes through. But the idea that they've kind of thought this out and they have all the answers to the questions that I've been asking. Now, I also asked about the breakdowns of the kind of NFTs, the land NFTs, how it all kind of works. And here's what they've said. They've gone, first, there are NFTs and NFPTs. The NFPTs are the physical specific block of land and everything on it, the houses, etc. Then when you have the NFT, you essentially have a contract from the company which gives you the right to claim a block on the island. To turn the land NFT into a Satoshi Island NFPT, you need to have either 10 of the NFTs or be in a group making up the 10. You can then together select which block you want within the area on the island. So this means that instead of just getting dumped into a block with someone you don't know, you can spend the time getting to know people or joining blocks with people who have similar ideas as you. We will be releasing our metaverse where people can do this, and they're also going to be releasing their NFT marketplace. As for the conflict resolution, even if you're with your best friend, there will of course be possibility for issues to occur. The rules of the island will be chosen when you set up the NFPT. Essentially, you set up your own mini DAO. Now, the idea that this comes back to is the fact that it's going to be a very communal aspect before construction even begins. So the idea that people can kind of get together, because there may be a few projects that want to then kind of make a mini hub, so a block of 4, they may want to do that. You're going to have a bunch of different people and ways that they want to come together to actually kind of execute and do something and do interesting spaces. And I think this is very cool and very interesting. So look, to get to the details of Satoshi Island and how it kind of works and the way they're structuring their NFTs, you can see here that the first issuance is the citizenship NFTs. Now, what this does is this lets you kind of access the mints of the land and also airdrops. It lets you live and work on the island. You then get to vote on the government, and then you also get to build on your Satoshi Island land. Now, so that is the first component. So you need to be a citizen before you can actually kind of make these purchases and do these things. Now, you've got the land itself. Now, the land itself, there are going to be a total of 21,000 residential blocks on Satoshi Island, and they're broken up into 10 NFTs. So that means there will be 21,000 blocks. Now, when it comes down to the price, you can see here in their most recent tweet, it's going to be sort of 2.35 ETH each per land. So the idea is that if you want to get something, it's going to cost you 23.5 ETH to kind of essentially get that block. So that is the price point that they're currently looking at, just to give you an idea of how that works. Now, what I really suggest you do is, usually I'd kind of go over and go, hey, yeah, there's not much more to check out, but there is so much information. It's so detailed. These guys know exactly what they're doing. If you head over to their Discord, all the FAQs are ticked. They've got all the ideas about their grants. They've got all the people. They've got their links. They've got the due diligence done. They've got so much stuff here, and things you may not even think you needed to kind of read up when it comes down to things like the original landowners, things like that. So basically, if the idea of owning some land on a private island via using NFTs and trading with NFTs and building and kind of essentially being able to like live in a crypto paradise, I highly suggest jumping in and checking this out. This is one of those things and opportunities that I think is very interesting. It's going to take very big, large, heavy bag to actually kind of achieve this. But the idea is that 10 people getting together and kind of chipping in sort of 2.3, 2.4 ETH a piece, you're then going to be doing quite well. I do know that there will be the costs of modules, things like that. There will be all these other costs involved. It's not like you're just going to sort of dump in 23 ETH and then you're done, you're good. There will be costs when it comes down to modules, things like that. So please take that in mind. This is like the kind of project that when you say do your due diligence, you're not just buying a JPEG, you're buying some land. Like this is some big, heavy ownership, and this is exactly what NFTs should be for, because you can then build this up, you can then lease it out. There's going to be so much crazy utility, real world, and you can actually have what people would be considered passive income when you've actually got a land on a private island. Like that is just, it's just awesome. It blows my mind. I'm excited for this. So will I be minting Satoshi Island? Yes, I will be. This is one of those things where it's attainable for me, it looks good for me, and this is something where I'd like to move into it. If you're considering this, it's not bad to sit on the side, because there will most likely be a lull. It'll pull back. People will then realize that there are additional costs, additional expenses. They'll sit on the, they'll kind of maybe list below mint, and this is when you'll be able to jump in. So this doesn't seem like the FOMO pump that you would usually see on a project. Because this will take years to roll out, you will be able to kind of bide your time, save up some ETH and get into it. So I am going to mint this, but if I can't mint this or it doesn't feel right in the current market, it's something that I'm not going to be kicking myself over, because I know this is a long-term development plan. So hopefully you found value in this video and you liked my breakdown of why I like Satoshi Island. If you found value in this video, please consider hitting up that subscribe button while you're down there. Also hit up the like button. As always, it's been a pleasure having you with me. I look forward to seeing you in the next one.